Take a look at yourself. Go ahead. Look at your hands, your skin, maybe that slightly annoying cowlick in your hair that refuses to stay down no matter how much gel you use. You, my friend, are a masterpiece of 3 billion years of unguided, messy, and frankly chaotic trial and error. You are the product of natural selection. But here's the kicker. You might also be one of the last members of the natural club. See, for the last few million years, if humans wanted to change, we had to wait. We had to wait for a random mutation to happen, hope it didn't kill us, and then wait another 10,000 years to see if it caught on. It was slow. It was inefficient. It was natural. But then we got impatient. We built tools. We built medicine. We stopped dying because of a simple cold, and we started fixing our eyes with lasers. But all of that was just maintenance, like fixing a dent in a car. Now we've found the blueprint, and we've brought a red pen. Welcome to the era of genetic engineering. We aren't just fixing the car anymore, we're redesigning the engine while the vehicle is still moving at 60 miles per hour. We are talking about designer babies, children whose traits are picked like options on a luxury SUV. And while that sounds like something out of a 90s sci-fi movie with questionable CGI, the technology is already here. It's called CRISPR, and it's about to turn the human genome into a choose-your-own-adventure book. But before you start placing your order for a kid with purple eyes and the IQ of Einstein, we need to talk about the price. Not just the money, though, spoiler alert, it's going to be expensive, but the price of ending evolution as we know it. Are we creating a utopia of superhumans, or are we accidentally hitting delete on the very things that make us human in the first place? Grab your lab coats and maybe a stress ball, because today we're looking at the end of the random human and the dawn of the engineered one. Let's dive in. Okay, so how do we actually edit a human? Because, let's be honest, the human body is basically a giant bowl of microscopic spaghetti. You can't just reach in with tweezers. Enter CRISPR-Cas9. Now, CRISPR sounds like a high-end vegetable CRISPR drawer, but it's actually a defense mechanism we borrowed from bacteria. See, bacteria have been fighting viruses for billions of years. When a bacterium survives a virus attack, it saves a piece of that virus's DNA in its own genetic archive. If that virus ever shows its face again, the bacterium sends out a protein called Cas9. Think of Cas9 as a tiny molecular hitman. It carries a wanted poster of the virus DNA, and when it finds a match, snip, it cuts the viral DNA, neutralizing the threat. Scientists looked at this and had a eureka moment. They realized they could give Cas9 any wanted poster they wanted. They could program it to find a specific human gene, say, one that causes a certain disease, and cut it. Once the DNA is cut, the cell tries to repair it, and that's when we strike. We can sneak in a new piece of genetic code while the cell is busy fixing the break. It's literally find and replace, but for the source code of life. But here is where the fun science gets complicated. There are 2 ways to use this tool, and the difference between them is the difference between fixing a leaky faucet and rewriting the laws of physics. First, there's somatic editing. This is what we're doing right now. We take a person who already exists, let's call him Dave, and we edit the cells in his lungs or his blood to cure a disease like sickle cell anemia. It's amazing. It's life-saving. And the best part? When Dave has kids, they don't inherit those edits. The change dies with Dave. It's a localized fix. But then, there's the big one. Germline editing. Germline editing happens at the very beginning, in embryos, sperm, or eggs. When you edit the germline, you aren't just changing Dave. You're changing Dave's kids, his grandkids, and every single person in his bloodline until the end of time. You've stopped being a doctor and started being an architect of a new lineage. If somatic editing is like editing a single copy of a book you bought at the store, germline editing is going to the publisher and changing the master manuscript. Once you hit print, every copy that ever follows will have your changes. And this, right here, is the line we've been afraid to cross. Because once you start editing the future, you better be really sure you didn't make a typo. So, we've got our molecular scissors, we've got our master manuscript. Now, what are we going to write in it? Well, if you look at the Human 2.0 catalog, the first few pages are actually pretty great. Welcome to Phase 1, the Great Eraser. Imagine a world where hereditary disease is a term you only find in history books next to the Black Plague. We're talking about snipping away cystic fibrosis, Huntington's disease, and hereditary forms of Alzheimer's or breast cancer. At this stage, almost everyone is on board. It's hard to find an ethical argument against stopping a child from suffering a debilitating disease before they're even born. If you can delete a glitch in the code that causes pain, why wouldn't wouldn't you? It's the ultimate preventative medicine. But once you've finished fixing the glitches, you're still holding the pen. And that's when you flip to phase 2, the Enhancement suite. This is where things go from medicine to lifestyle upgrades. Since we're already in the embryo's code to fix that heart defect, why not tweak a few other things? Maybe you want your kid to be tall. Great for basketball. Let's dial up the HGH receptors. Maybe you want them to have super muscles that never atrophy. There's a gene for that. It's called myostatin, and we know exactly how to suppress it. Want them to never forget a face? Let's optimize those neural connections for a photographic memory. It sounds awesome, right? Every parent wants the best for their kid. You want them to be smart, strong, and healthy. But here's the problem. Where does health end and fashion begin? If every parent in a certain country decides that blue eyes are in this season, or that being 6'4" is the standard for success, are we still practicing medicine? Or are we just turning human beings into the ultimate consumer product? Think about it. In the 90s, the ideal body type was one thing. Today, it's another. But if you hard code a fashion trend into your child's DNA, they can't just change their outfit when the trend dies. They are the outfit. And then there's the competitive parenting trap. If your neighbor's kid is genetically engineered to only need 4 hours of sleep and speak 6 languages, can you really afford to let your natural child fall behind? We're moving toward a world where a child's potential isn't determined by their hard work or their environment, but by their parents' credit score. We've stopped asking, can we cure this? And started asking, can we afford the upgrade? And that, folks, is where the perfect baby starts to look like a very complicated problem. So here's the thing about evolution. It loves a hot mess. For billions of years, life on Earth has survived because it's messy and diverse. If a plague hits, maybe 99% of a species dies, but that one weirdo with a random mutation in their immune system survives to carry on the torch. That's biodiversity. It's the ultimate insurance policy against extinction. But genetic engineering? It's the opposite. It's a giant optimize button. Imagine a world where every parent chooses the same top 10 traits. Everyone wants the same high metabolism, the same heightened focus, the same aesthetic features. We'd be moving away from a diverse forest and toward a genetic monoculture. And we know what happens to monocultures. Just ask the Cavendish banana. It's the only type of banana we export. They're all genetic clones, and now a single fungus is threatening to wipe them off the face of the earth. If we make perfect humans, we might accidentally make ourselves perfectly vulnerable. If we all have the same optimized immune system and a new virus figures out the back door, well, there's no plan B. We've edited out our safety net. But it's not just about biology. It's about the ultimate us versus them. In our world today, we talk a lot about the wealth gap. We talk about how the kids of the ultra-rich get better schools, better food, and better networking. But at the end of the day, a billionaire's DNA is fundamentally the same as yours. They're still human. They still get tired. They still have limits. But what happens when the wealth gap becomes a genetic gap? If you thought the wealth gap was bad, wait until you see the genetic gap. We're talking about a world where the haves aren't just richer, they're faster, smarter, and literally immune to the diseases that kill the have-nots. This is the Gattaca scenario. We could end up with a two-tier humanity, a genetic elite who can afford the upgrades, and the godchildren, the natural-born humans who are seen as invalid or obsolete because they were born with the glitches of nature. If you can't afford the $50,000 intelligence package for your kid, how are they supposed to compete for a job against someone who was literally engineered to be a genius? You're not just born into a social class anymore. You're born into a biological caste. And the worst part? This isn't just about fairness. It's about the fact that evolution, the process that got us from single-celled organisms to poets and astronauts, is effectively over. We aren't being shaped by the environment anymore. We're being shaped by market forces. Evolution has been replaced by an IPO. And the question is, who owns the patent on humanity? So, we're standing at the edge of the cliff, holding the DNA scissors, ready to cut. But before we do, we need to talk about the person who's actually going to live with these changes. You know, the baby. Welcome to the consent paradox. Usually, If you want to undergo a radical, life-altering medical procedure, you have to sign a form, but an embryo can't sign a form. We are making permanent, irreversible decisions for a person who doesn't exist yet. What happens when that perfectly designed kid grows up and realizes they didn't want to be a 6'7" basketball prodigy? What if they wanted to be a tiny, nimble gymnast? We've essentially predetermined their life's path before they even took their first breath. We've turned their destiny into a preset character build from an RPG. And then there's the oops factor. Biology isn't a Lego set, it's a web. We often think one gene does one thing, the tall gene, the smart gene, but that's almost never how it works. This is called pleiotropy. One gene might help you build muscle, but it might also be the same gene that regulates your mood or your creativity. Imagine we optimize a child for high-speed logic and mathematical processing. Success. But then we realize that by tweaking that specific pathway, we accidentally muted the part of the brain that feels deep empathy or abstract artistic inspiration. We wanted a genius, but we accidentally built a calculator. In our rush to delete the weakness, we might accidentally delete the soul. But wait. It gets even messier, because while we're sitting here debating ethics, the world is moving at different speeds. Welcome to regulatory chaos. Imagine Europe passes a law saying, no genetic editing for enhancement, only for medicine. But then, 1,000 miles away, another country, let's call it Bioland, says, hey, we want to be the smartest, strongest nation on Earth. CRISPR for everyone. What happens next? Genetic tourism. The wealthy will just fly to wherever the laws are the loosest. We could see a genetic arms race where nations feel forced to edit their citizens just to keep up economically and militarily. If country A has soldiers who don't need sleep and scientists with 200 IQs, country B can't exactly afford to stay natural for very long, can they? We are looking at a future where the definition of human changes depending on which border you cross. We're not just talking about a new technology, we're talking about the total breakdown of the biological status quo. The question isn't just, should we? It's, can we even stop it if we wanted to? So, where does that leave us? We've looked at the molecular scissors, the shopping catalogues for perfect children, and the looming shadow of a genetically divided humanity. It's easy to look at all of this and want to hit the abort button, to say, nature knows best, let's just stay the way we are. But here's the cold, hard truth. The genie is out of the bottle. The technology to rewrite our own code isn't a maybe anymore, it's a when. And as much as we fear the designer baby dystopia, we also can't ignore the mother who won't have to pass on a terminal illness, or the generation that could be the first to live without the fear of Alzheimer's. We are at a crossroads that no other species in the history of the Earth has ever reached. For billions of years, life was a game of survival where the rules were written by gravity, climate, and predators. We were just the players, trying our best not to get a game over. But now, the controller has been handed to us. We are no longer the players in the game of evolution. We are becoming the game designers. And as any developer will tell you, when you start messing with the core engine of a game, you run the risk of breaking it entirely. If we use these tools only to chase a narrow, fleeting idea of perfection, if we use them to bake our prejudices and our greed into our very bones, then we might just optimize ourselves into a dead end. But if we use them with humility, if we remember that our strength as a species has always been our diversity, our flaws, and our ability to adapt together, then maybe, just maybe, we can write a better chapter for humanity than nature ever could. The mirror is in front of us. We are looking at the final version of Human 1.0. What Human 2.0 looks like, well, that's no longer up to fate. It's up to us. Thanks for watching Critterion. This was a heavy one, but hey, someone's got to think about the future. If you enjoyed this deep dive into our genetic destiny, hit that subscribe button and let us know in the comments. If you could edit one thing about the human race, what would it be? Just remember, no refunds on the DNA. See you next time.